We are going to show this number in multiple formats and then at the end round it to the nearest hundredth. So this number is 1 and 872 thousandths, which we use to help us write our number name. So when we are writing our number name or saying the number that we have, we look at the digits before the decimal point and say those. So that is a 1. And then when we get to the decimal point, we say and then we say the numbers after the decimal point, and then we look at the place that that last digit is in and say that place value. So this number is 872. The 2 is in the thousandths place, so we would say this number all together as 1 and 872 thousandths. And that is useful when we go to write the number name. So 1 and then that tells us everything after the and is less than 1 whole, because it is a part of a whole. It's a decimal. It is also important to remember that when we write the word thousandths, that we have the THS at the end. So we write the word thousand, and then THS helps us know that we are talking about this decimal place. This 800 we keep as 800 and we don't say 800ths, because this is telling us again that we say this is number 872, and so then that is how we would write that. And the thousandths tell us that that is part of a decimal. The fraction for this number, if we were to do an improper fraction, would be 1,872 thousandths. Again, because we are in the thousandths place, 1,000 is our denominator. And we could simplify this, but we're just going to leave that as is for right now. The mixed number is very similar to this. Since we have over 1,000 in our numerator, which is the top number, we can take 1 whole out. So now when we take 1,000, we know that we take 1,000 out because our denominator is 1,000, so that's our whole. So if we take 1,000 out, that leaves us with 872 thousandths left over. Our expanded form can be either written as a decimal or a fraction. So we are using the expanded form to tell us the value of each of these digits. So the 1 is 1 whole, the 8 represents 8/10ths, the 7 represents 7/100ths, and the 2 represents 2,000ths. So that is in the decimal form, but that is equivalent to us doing this in the fraction form as well. So because our number 8 here is in the tenths place, it has a 10 in the denominator. 7 is in the hundredths place, so it is 100 in the denominator, and 1,000 is our denominator here because the 2 is in the thousandths place. For my place value, I'm going to draw my chips. I have 1 in the ones place, 8 in the tenths place, 7 in the hundredths place, and 2 in the thousandths place. My number line, I'm going to start at 1 and 87 hundredths, because that is what my number is here. That is how many full hundredths that I have. And I'm going to go all the way to this endpoint of 1 and 88 hundredths, because 88 is 1 more than 87. And so we also have to remember that 1 and 87 hundredths is the same as 1 and 870 thousandths, because it takes 10 thousandths to make 1/100th. So that just gives us our equivalency there. And I want to go to 872, so this is 871. Here is 1 and 872. Now for the model. This model has 1,000 cubes, so for me to shade in 1 whole, I would represent the 1 whole that I have here. And then I need to shade in 872. The easiest way to do this is to shade in from the back to the front, because each of these slices is 100 pieces. So I'm going to shade in 8 in the back, so that's 800. And then I'm going to use this front slice to help me shade in my 72. So remember that this cube right here, I would have to shade in both sides to get that 1 cube. So I'm going to shade in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then 70. So that gets my 7/10. And then I need 2 more cubes. So again, that one is 1, here's 2. So that gives me 1 whole 100, and then 2 tens, and then 8 more. And now to round this decimal to the nearest hundredth. I'm going to use the same number line up here because those are actually the hundredths that this number is in between. So I have 1 87 hundredths, and then one more than that is 1 88 hundredths. And as we showed earlier, that this number is 1 872. And I'm going to say that that is much closer to 1 87 hundredths than it would be to 1 88 hundredths. It is only 2 away from this hundredth, whereas 8 away from this hundredth. I can also think of this as I'm trying to round to this place, this hundredths. And so I'm going to look at the 2. And the 2 is going to tell me either to stay or to soar. And so if I stay, I'd be at 1 87 hundredths. If I soar, I'd be at 1 88. For us to stay, we have to be between a 0 and 4. Soar is 5 or more. Since 2 is between 0 and 4, we're going to stay. And so that's another way to explain why we stayed at 1 87 hundredths. So a number can be written in multiple ways and represented in multiple ways, and we can use that to help us figure out the place values, the values of the digits, and to show where it would be on a number line, as well as to round it.